Hello friends, welcome to everyone on my channel Story Station. Today, I'm brought to you on another new interesting episode of r/AmITheA. Before starting the video, if you are new on my channel, please subscribe to the channel and also press the bell icon so that you can get my upcoming video notification first. So let's start the video. Story posted by Really, Am I the a-hole for telling my parents they failed me? I, 19 female, have a strained relationship with my parents. I live with some friends while they go to college, and I work full time. I saw my parents for the first time yesterday, since I moved out in June of 2019. It was awkward. I'm the oldest of their 2 children. I have a little sister who is 16 now. She's special needs and has required a lot of care since she was a toddler. My parents were very good parents for her. They did everything they could to be good for her, but because I was neurotypical, I was expected to be okay with making sacrifices, missing out and becoming a caregiver. It was so hard. I didn't get birthday parties. We didn't celebrate Christmas like other families, because we had to be quiet so my celebrate wouldn't be upset my sister. I spent a lot of time feeling embarrassed and ashamed. I was resentful. I blamed my sister for a few years. And then I turned my anger on my parents and we would fight a lot. They didn't understand why I couldn't be more okay with not having birthday parties when I knew my sister found them too much, and they never got why I would be upset when I had to miss out on field trips, or didn't go to friends' parties, or couldn't go to a movie with kids from school. I could sometimes go to a friend's house, very occasionally, but they were never welcome at our house, and most of the time I was expected to come home and help my mom out with my sister. I left once I was old enough to, legally. I didn't go to college for a few reasons, but I did get a job, and I support myself. It's the first time I can say I have nice things since I was 5, and I got a Barbie for Christmas. The estrangement was natural. They would ask me to come back and help them, and I would ignore them. Then yesterday I did decide to visit them after so many requests to come and help, and they wanted to tell me how shitty I was for not helping with my sister and helping them more since they did so much for me. I snapped. I told them they weren't good parents to me. I told them I wasn't important to them after my sister was born, that I was used to make life easier for them, but my needs or wants didn't matter. I told them my childhood sucked because they stopped trying to give me one. They wanted an adult. And I told them I deserved so much better. I stormed off and came home early. My mom left a message for me telling me I was a brat for not being more understanding. Am I the a-hole for what I said? Now, Redditors gives best suggestion to the OP on this situation. Not the a-hole, your sister is their responsibility to care for, not yours. You can be supportive and friendly, you can help when and how it's convenient for you, but it's ridiculous that they expect you to revolve your entire life around being caregiver to your sister. Also, you're an adult, it's normal to have boundaries between you and your family now, especially after going through years feeling neglected and being forced into a caregiver's role. Wow. Not the a-hole at all. I get that having a special needs child is hard, but you're absolutely right. They didn't treat you like the child you were. They treated you like an adult caregiver and you weren't. They could have done a million things to make sure you had at least a somewhat normal childhood, and they dropped the ball every time. I mean, no parties? Why couldn't sister go stay with a relative for a few hours so you could have a ducking birthday if she got so stressed? I'd just block them. They aren't sorry for their behavior and will only continue to harass you. Not the a-hole. Okay, so maybe they couldn't handle your sister and needed your help, although even that is not okay, but that doesn't absolve them of all blame. Why weren't you on school trips? Your parents should have been taking care of your sister, but they used you to help themselves. Not the a-hole. It can really suck when a sibling has a lot of needs, and that takes a lot of parents' attention / requires you to make sacrifices. I'm not really sure why that meant you couldn't have birthday parties or go on field trips though. Your parents did a lousy job of meeting your emotional needs, and if they can't see that, that's their problem. Not the a-hole. If they don't like the truth, they shouldn't have behaved in a way that made it the truth. I say live your best life and go LC/NC until they get their heads on straight and under no circumstances ever take any responsibility for younger sibling. Moving so far away that they can't drop sibling on you when they decide they are tired of caring for said sibling would be cold but wise. Not the a-hole. Your parents put all their efforts into caring for your sister at the cost of your childhood. You have every right to go no contact after that. You're their child, too, not your sister's assistant caregiver. I can understand them not wanting to upset her, but they should really have let you go on field trips and spend time with your friends and have some level of normalcy. I doubt it would have broken the bank to buy you a gift and cake every birthday and some Christmas gifts. Not the a-hole. Yes, it was probably hard for them, but it wasn't fair for them to make you help care for your sister. You say you missed things because you had to go help your mother take care of her. I know sometimes it's a financial necessity for older children to care for siblings, but that doesn't seem to apply here. And they think that you should be helping now when you've moved out. It might be nice to give your parents a break every now and then, but not if they can't even acknowledge that you missed out on so much. At least now they know how you feel and can make other arrangements for the future without putting it on you. Story posted by TemperCount6. Am I the a-hole for warning my brother's girlfriend that she's making everyone uncomfortable with her over-the-top reactions to touching? My brother's been dating this girl Julie for 6-ish months. They live quite far, so we have never met Julie. I'm living with my parents at the moment. Brother and Julie arrived last weekend for a 2-week visit. Brother gave us the heads up before they came that Julie didn't like to be touched. When they arrived we hugged brother, but respected her space and gave her a friendly wave. I honestly didn't have any sort of issue, and I don't think my parents did either. Throughout this week though it's become clear that this isn't just a normal boundary. Julie is extreme in her reactions. No one has intentionally touched her, mind you. There was an incident at AITA where my dad brushed up against her in the kitchen, and she had a complete fit. She was hyperventilating and freaking out. Brother managed it, since he was right there, but it was pretty concerning. Since then, the entire house has been walking on eggshells around her. If you so much as walk in her direction she will take this deep, audible breath, and just stare wide-eyed. Making eye contact with her is 50/50 on whether she will start to get all freaked out. Now the house is pretty small. It's quite difficult for 5 adults to operate when one of them is a step away from a conniption. We have all tried our best over the week to accommodate her, but it's definitely gotten on everyone's nerves. Last night my parents were confiding to me how uncomfortable they were in their own home. I feel the same obviously. It's not that Julie doesn't want to be touched, it's that she always assumes we are trying to touch her whenever we look at her or walk in her direction. It's incredibly tense to be in the same space as her because she looks at you like you're some monster trying to hurt her. I decided to talk to my brother today and ask if Julie was okay. He insisted that Julie is totally fine and apparently having a good time. He straight up refused to acknowledge that she was making us uncomfortable and basically told me to duck off. I waited till the evening and talked to Julie. I managed to catch her alone and talked to her from a distance. I basically just said that the family have all been really uncomfortable with her reactions. Again, not that she doesn't like touching, but that she is so extreme in her fear towards us. I tried to be sympathetic and kind in my words, but she did not react well. She started crying and just said that she didn't know we hated her and she was doing her best. I ended up just apologizing for mentioning it and escaped to my room. My brother came to yell at me shortly after that. He gave me a thorough telling off and basically called me a huge a-hole. I haven't spoken to my parents, but I am pretty confident they would be on my side here. From a third party perspective, am I the a-hole? TLDR. Told brother girlfriend to cool it with her reactions, and it didn't go well. Now, Redditors gives best suggestion to the OP on this situation. Not the a-hole. You're in your own home. You shouldn't have to walk on eggshells. Julie seems to have some pretty serious issues, So your brother and her should have known a 2-week visit staying in the house would be too much for her. Your brother should not be blowing up at you. Not the a-hole. Your brother is the a-hole. He knew how extreme her reaction to an accidental touch is. He shouldn't have brought her, especially for so long, to your home, which he presumably knew was small and would make accommodating her extreme needs difficult, and that her paranoia would make anyone uncomfortable in their own home. If someone's behavior is making you uncomfortable, in your own home no less, you have a right to discuss it with them politely. People saying yes the a-hole literally make no damn sense. You're uncomfortable in your own home because of her extreme reactions to simply being in her proximity. I know how it is to be in a house that's too small to accommodate 5 people while giving each other decent space. You're not telling her to go duck off and leave. You just properly communicated to her about your feelings about the situation. You shouldn't feel uncomfortable in your own damn home. You even talked to your brother before talking to his girlfriend, and because he refused to acknowledge that there's clearly something wrong with his girlfriend, you had to talk to her instead. You are not the a-hole here. Not the a-hole, but your brother is. While I understand the no touching rule and it's maybe totally valid, it's completely asinine to be doing that in someone else's house. Past trauma be damned. She needs either some serious therapy or a serious talking to from your brother that the people in the house are friendly, not family, because 6 months of dating, and not a mountain lion who's looking at her like she's dinner. And to do that as a guest in a home? I'm sorry, but she's an adult, and if it's that bad for her, she needs to respectfully remove herself from the situation. Try again in another 6 months. Not the a-hole. Your brother is the absolute a-hole here. If he's been with her for 6 months before bringing her to meet all he knew about her post-traumatic stress disorder / issue with people touching or being near her, he couldn't even address what you had said to her. I highly doubt he's encouraging her to get treatment either. I don't see too much fault in her, as she may not realize how over the top she's being due to people like your brother shutting everyone else's discomfort down while enabling her own. Not the a-hole. Your brother and Julie and the a-hole. As a former victim myself, I empathize with Julie's feelings towards her being touched. It is very difficult for a former abuse victim to get over their post-traumatic stress disorder, and her hyperventilating is completely not her fault. However, she was the a-hole for not communicating well with you and your family, and making all of you feel like bad people trying to touch her intentionally or something. Even with post-traumatic stress disorder, she could have calmed down afterwards and explained to your dad why she freaked out and how to prevent such a scenario from happening again, instead of taking deep breaths and staring at everyone. Your brother is also the a-hole for allowing this, knowing full well that Julie was going to be uncomfortable with people approaching her. 2 weeks is too long to spend with people, considering Julie's situation. He should have listened to what you had to say instead of straight up yelling at you for being an a-hole. However, I would like to say that you are slightly the a-hole for not understanding her side of the story. Having post-traumatic stress disorder and getting flashbacks from her past trauma is not something she can control. As of right now, I think the best way is to convince them to spend their nights in a hotel. Write a letter or send a text to them if Julie is so fearful of people approaching her. Now, OP have added something. Edit. For everyone asking if she has post-traumatic stress disorder or some sort of mental illness, I literally have no idea. I don't know if she's in therapy. I just met this girl a week ago, and my brother hasn't mentioned anything like that. I didn't expect so many comments, but I appreciate everyone here explaining what it could be. To be clear, I don't really blame her for anything. I only approached her when it was clear my brother didn't want to hear it. Maybe that was a bad idea on my part. Edit 2. More info since it's coming up a lot. My brother lives across the country and it's an expensive flight to come visit. We haven't seen him in over 2 years. I know 2 weeks seems like a lot, but in this context it really isn't. If he had come alone, it would have likely been more like a month. From what I understand, he brought Julie because he is very serious about her, and it is likely the only opportunity they would have had to meet us for the next couple years. My parents are not well off financially and cannot afford the flight to see him. If we had known how serious Julie's issues were, we definitely would have asked they got a hotel. My brother really downplayed it to us. Story. Posted by throwaway3307091. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my brother-in-law into my house after he said that I should have forgotten about my deceased 5-month-old daughter? I, female 26, lost my daughter 2 months ago. She was in perfect health. I truly never really understood what went wrong. She passed away in her sleep. They said that it was sudden infant death and it was nobody's fault, but I just regret not waking up that night and found her not breathing in the morning. It was so devastating that I've been having troubles falling asleep after this. My mother-in-law started blaming me and talking behind my back. Everyone just ignored her, while my brother-in-law kept repeating her words in front of me just to hurt me. He brought his fiancée to the funeral and stayed on his phone the entire time. He told me to my face that we shouldn't have had a funeral because my daughter was an infant, so a funeral wasn't necessary, as in she was any less. Then, about 3 weeks after the funeral, he paid us a visit to hand me and my husband his wedding invitation. He started commenting on how pale I looked and said that he was baffled that I still haven't moved on from my daughter's unexpected death. Even said that I shouldn't be worried because we will just have another one, like he was talking about a piece of furniture. I felt so annoyed, and the last straw was when he asked how he and his future wife could avoid having this happen to them when they have a baby in the future, and asked me to be honest if my daughter had a defect from birth. I just lost it. I got up, gave him his stupid invitation back, and told him to leave. He started calling me nasty names and said that his mom was right about me. I yelled at him after he went on and on about how I needed help with my superiority complex and other things. The whole family started calling me inconsiderate and said that I hurt my brother-in-law, and just because I was grieving I had no right to kick him out and disrespect him like that. My husband was away from home. He got mad when he heard, and he minimized his contact with his family. Now his family is blaming me and saying that I indeed am the bad guy here because everything my brother-in-law and his mom said was true. He came to my house to talk to my husband, but I refused to let him in, saying he wants to apologize when he realized he could lose his brother. Now, Redditors gives best suggestion to the OP on this situation. I'm sorry for your loss. If you don't remember your baby as a mother, who will? But over time, grief will give way to longing, and if it doesn't, seek help. There is pathological grief, that is a disease. 3 weeks is very little time, especially with something so suddenly. He had no sympathy for you. That's the kind of thing that justifies striking someone out of your life forever. Not the a-hole. Edit. He's probably talking bad about you to everyone and making up stories. When you're less emotional, write down everything he said and did that day and send it to your whole family. You have the right to defend yourself. Excuse me, what? He tells you to basically just forget about your child that you lost barely a month ago, but you are the one being inconsiderate. Your Bill is a heartless bastard who should contemplate about the way he behaves around you. Not the a-hole. Big time. I'm so sorry for your loss. I know you have heard this already, but from a stranger on the internet. Please listen. This was not your fault. You did not cause this. There is likely nothing you could have done. The baby's brain and body just weren't quite right. We have lost babies to sudden infant deaths or cot death forever. It's an awful mystery of why some babies just don't wake up, and it's an awful game of what if that's haunted mothers for thousands of years. Remember, love, cherish your baby. It was your baby. You knew it the best, and you are the person with the most memories. Do not ever feel like you will forget, nor should anyone ever tell you that you should. You loved that child, you lost that child, and you will grieve that child. Again, I'm so sorry. No one should be treating you with anything but compassion and love. If you were my sister, you'd be tucked in a chair, watching a good program, and drinking tea, while I made you relax. Not the a-hole. Also, it sounds like your husband is solid. These people are terrible. I think you need some time away from his whole family, maybe 3 MO or so. Block them on everything and tell your husband you don't want to discuss them until you're ready. I'm absolutely disgusted by your husband's family. I would never want to be around them ever again. I have a limerent object, and I can honestly say, if she died we would be buried together. The pain you must be going through. I want to hug you, then go beat the crap out of them. I don't even think I could accept an apology and be around them again. I don't understand why your husband even wants to. The questions about defects. Oh my, I think I would have punched him at that point. You are not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. If anything, the brother-in-law is an insanely inconsiderate a-hole. It takes a long time for people to get over the loss of a loved one in general. I can't imagine losing your child, no matter the age. My mother always told me when I was growing up, you never know how much you can love something until you have a child. Take your time to get over the loss. No one should push you or be disrespectful about that. Not the a-hole. Really sorry for your loss. No one ever gets over the loss of their child. They get through it. Less than a month is not enough time to process the enormity of your loss. You should see a grief counselor. Your husband's family are the a-holes, so inconsiderate and toxic sounding. Keep them at a distance. You don't need that toxic crap in your life. If they are truly sorry, they will grovel, apologize and change their ways. I hope your husband continues to have your back and that you are able to find peace in these dark times. So friends, how did you like today's story? Comment below, and if you find the video interesting, then like and share this video. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, press the subscribe button and also hit the bell icon, because I keep making videos like this. So friends, that's all in today's video. I meet you again in new video with new story. Till then, take care of your and keep watching the Story Station.